Death is Afghanistan's constant companion. A nation of cemeteries, 2.5 million people buried by conflicting ideology. The capital, Kabul, reduced to rubble by the years of civil war. Out of this crucible of anarchy came peace. The victors enforced an Islamic year zero, banning technology, reducing women to unemployable shrouds in the distance. The masters of this new order, a secretive group of Islamic fundamentalist students, or Talibs. Now there are fears that they're ready to export their Islamic revolution. For the Taliban, it's an effortless leap from the 7th to the 20th century. The movement's origins lie not in Afghanistan, but in the religious schools or madrasas of Pakistan. Near Peshawar is the largest madrasa, touted as the Taliban's Harvard. The 2,500 students of this madrasa are recruited from the poor of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Starting as young as 6, they spent 8 years living and learning the ways of fundamentalist Islam. It's a Spartan existence that forms a harsh, narrow worldview. Teachers warn that they can't guarantee our safety. This madrasa is now the de facto headquarters of an international brotherhood that doesn't welcome cameras.
We now have Taliban from Arab countries, the Far East, Thailand, Central Asia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. They're all seeking Islam. They were not allowed to read the Quran for 100 to 150 years.
Samuel Huq's students do more than just read the Quran. A former Pakistan senator, he is, according to a leading investigator of the Taliban, the movement's chief recruiting officer.
Well, Samuel Huq has been one of the ideological founding fathers of the Taliban since 1994. Many of the Taliban Central Committee were actually students at his madrasa, so he knows them when they were kids. His madrasas have also supplied huge amounts of manpower to them. So he's very, very important and very much revered by the Taliban.
Only Afghans are going back to the Holy War. I'm not sure that Pakistanis are going. We don't permit it. But the borders are open, and it is possible they might go to see their friends over there.
It's very difficult to put a percentage on it because the tendency has been that when the Taliban launch an offensive, they normally ask religious leaders in Pakistan to send their madrasa students to help them out. And so you have spurts of maybe 2,000-3,000 young men, boys, going across the border, helping the Taliban out for a specific offensive and then coming back.
The Khyber Pass, Pakistan's frontier with Afghanistan. Last century, it was the gateway to the so-called Great Game between Britain and Russia, the covert struggle for control of this region. Now the Great Game is on again. This time the players, Pakistan and Iran, and taking centre stage just over the border, the Taliban. We're the first Western TV crew to visit Afghanistan since the American missile attack. 10 metres over the border, our first brush with the new order. From now, we're on our own. The UN evacuated its staff after an aid worker was gunned down in Kabul by Pakistani Talibs in apparent retaliation for the US attack.
You were saying that don't let them do filming. Okay.
Kabul has the air of a city under occupation, mistrusted by the Taliban, its people polluted by Western values. Adding to the woes, just 24 hours earlier, a missile scored a direct hit on this crowded market, killing 80, wounding 250 others, none of them Talibs. Our Taliban minder says we can film the missile damage, but not the people. Cameraman Jeff Clegg is warned that photographing humans is un-Islamic.
What's your name, please? Jeffrey. Jeffrey. Mr. Jeffrey, I told you before that photography of men is not permitted.
Other TV crews have been severely beaten, their gear smashed.
You can have every part of the building photography, but not the photography of people. So let's go.
The videotape confetti, evidence of others who disobeyed this order. Piled up in grim tribute, the remains of the missile, a smaller version of the Scud, packing half a ton of high explosive. It was launched by Ahmed Shah Massoud, the last ex-government commander, surrounded but still fighting, barely 40 kilometres away. Despite the growing frequency of such attacks, there are no public displays of reassurance by the Taliban leadership. In fact, no one really knows who's in charge. Supreme Leader Mullah Omar has never been filmed or photographed. But if there's a single power broker in Afghanistan today, it's Mohammed Nabi Mohammadi, a man so powerful he feels no need to join the Taliban. Most of the Taliban leaders were his junior commanders during the war against the Soviets. Now they constantly seek his advice on policy matters.
They must be given a chance. Once peace and security is implemented and law and order is in place and the killing and anarchy is finished, I assure you that the rights of all women and men will be guaranteed.
The Taliban's iron rule has brought a peace that's attracted 1 million refugees home from the camps of Pakistan. But amid the ruins, there's little prospect of immediate international aid. And already the first grumblings of dissent from a population that now wants more. But this regime tolerates neither crime nor criticism. It's a Sunday afternoon and I'm in Kandahar, a southern city in Afghanistan. This is the ideological heartland of the Taliban. Behind me in this soccer stadium, several thousand people have been gathering for some time. And they're here to witness Taliban justice in action. A number of public executions are about to happen here this afternoon. We're not permitted to film, but I've been invited by the governor of Kandahar to go in and witness events.
They are killing some people.
Why?
3 people.
Are you going to watch it?
What?
Are you going in to see it?
No,
Why not?
I come here to do football.
In there.
Yes, in stadium. But they kill people.
So they kill the people first, do they?
Yes.
And you play soccer.
Yes.
Well, in front of about 5,000 men, women and a considerable portion of children, I have to say. 3 men were dragged out into the middle of the soccer pitch. We were told that they were guilty of murder. They begged for forgiveness. That was denied. The next of kin of those allegedly murdered were then handed Kalashnikov assault rifles. The men were dragged over underneath the goalposts and they were then machine gunned to death. This may be Islamic justice, but it's also the Taliban's way of just telling the people here who are in charge. In fact, there's quite a mood of disgust among a number of people, but obviously with the Taliban here, no one is going to say anything.
This is Islamic Qanon, Taliban Qanon.
More cemeteries along the only decent road left in the country, one that leads to a battlefield. We give our mind to the slip and join a young Talib on his way to the front line, only 30 kilometres north of Kabul. No one here seems to have heard of the camera ban. The Taliban now control 90% of the country, but Ahmed Shah Massoud, commander of the deposed government army, still holds the impregnable Panjshir Valley. One tactical error by the Taliban, and Massoud could sweep back into Kabul in a day. Tank fire isn't the only danger here. The front is littered with mines and unexploded munitions.
Be careful that you're not blown up by the mine. No, don't worry, this is no mine, it's okay.
So what's the mine situation?
I'm not going to the dangerous places.
Our escorts are oblivious to the battle. The young Talibs are reckless. They're fighting a holy war. Death in battle brings a limitless supply of maidens in paradise.
Over there on top of the hill, that's where the Taliban are. Down the bottom in the town are Massoud's people. And you can see that line from there to there. That's the front line.
Mystery surrounds the Taliban's sudden evolution from student movement to formidable army. The Taliban say their force was built around young Mujahideen veterans who rallied to the fundamentalist cause. The ranks were also bolstered by professional soldiers, former officers of the deposed communist regime, who with encouragement from Pakistan intelligence, the ISI, rediscovered Allah and joined the movement.
Pakistan intelligence is very much part of the government, and government policy has been to support the Taliban, give them backing, give them advice, give them help in various material fields where they may be lacking. So the ISI has been carrying out government policy as such. I mean, it has been doing that ever since the Benazir Bhutto government first started working with the Taliban in 1994.
Well, I don't know anything about it, but if Pakistan did offer military and economic help, I pray to Allah that He will reward Pakistan with paradise and give them rewards in this life, because they would have helped the oppressed and a just cause.
Pakistan's master plan of a client state run by the Taliban is fraying around the edges. as the Talibs now find themselves stretched thin on two fronts. One army is trying to crush Mosul before the onset of winter. Another 25,000 men have rushed to the western border, where the Taliban and Iran are on the brink of war. A confrontation triggered in August when Taliban forces capturing the Afghan city of Mazar-i-Sharif killed 8 Iranian diplomats and a journalist. But the Talibs have an ace up their sleeve, a hand they want to reveal to us at this nondescript house. 42 Iranian prisoners, filmed here for the first time.
How are you? How are you? Australia.
You're from?
Australia. Where are you from?
I? From Iran.
And what is your job?
Yes.
What is your job?
Diplomat.
Leading the group, 3 other diplomats from Iran's Mazar-i-Sharif consulate, men with an extraordinary tale. Captured a year ago by one of the Mujahideen warlords, they were then sold to the Taliban for $100,000 each.
We were captured in September 1997 and were sold to the Taliban by Ghosuddin, a commander of Hizb-i-Islamic.
Diplomats aren't the only expensive commodity here.
Iran, eh? Iran? Iran.
Outside, a large quantity of weapons with Iranian markings, booty in the war between the 2 great houses of Islam. Afghanistan is Sunni, Iran Shia, though both countries have sizable minorities of the other sect. It's a bond allegedly exploited by Iran through the supply of weapons to the Afghan Shia minority of Mazar-i-Sharif.
These weapons didn't come to Mazar-i-Sharif by themselves. They didn't walk over here. They were carried by vehicle or aircraft into Afghanistan.
In this 20th century version of the game, Iran broke the golden rule: don't get caught. Also captured at Mazar, 26 Iranians who claim to be produce truck drivers. The Taliban say they were caught smuggling the weapons. The Taliban say that they find guns in with the food.
It is not correct. It is wrong. I said I brought only goods and cooking things and like them.
The truck drivers have since been released. 17 others, including the diplomats, remain prisoners. And with Taliban guards watching, display remarkable defiance.
We ask the Islamic Republic of Iran to avenge the blood of the martyrs killed in Mazar-i-Sharif consulate. They must take revenge by all means on anyone, be they Talib or Pakistani. We were saddened to hear the news, and again we request the leaders of Iran to avenge the blood of our martyrs. God is great. God is great. Long live Khomeini.
In far more sumptuous surroundings, a different group of Iranians who are very much the Taliban's welcome guests. They're a new team in the great game, members of Iran's Sunni minority, targets, they say, of relentless persecution by Iran's Shia government. Previously operating here in secret, they take the opportunity to make an explosive announcement to the world: the launch of their own Taliban-style revolution on Iranian soil.
Our war is not against the people, not against our country. It's against the system which is hostile towards us. Animosity, hostility towards our faith. We have to tell the world about our oppression, about the tyrants of our government.
It's confirmation of Iran's greatest fears: Taliban ambitions to expand their Islamic new order.
Other nations have done it. The Afghans did. If we are compelled and Iran doesn't stop its tyranny, we will be forced to do something in our own defense.
तो हम मजबूर हैं जी अपने दिफा के लिए हमें कुछ करना है.
If this is so, I think this would be of enormous significance because it would really be telling Tehran that the Taliban are harboring anti-Iranian groups. It would be very provocative for the Iranians if the Taliban were doing so. It would perhaps give another justification for a future some kind of Iranian attack or measure taken against the Taliban.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا
An Iranian attack would oblige Pakistan Prime Minister Mazar-i-Sharif to send in his army on the side of the Taliban. The military dominate political life in Pakistan, and it's the military who've backed the Taliban. But in playing the great game, Pakistan may have unleashed forces it no longer controls.
فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله.
There are now 500,000 madrasa students in Pakistan. With the economy crippled and the political leadership paralysed by corruption allegations, the movement is calling for another Taliban-style revolution here in Pakistan.
We cannot get rid of them by democratic means. They have a monopoly on power. The people are suffering. As in Afghanistan, where the people were sick of their leaders and they welcomed the Taliban. Here also, if some young people stand up, the ground is ready.
Well, I think for the region, the Taliban phenomenon has already proved disastrous. It has completely polarized the region. On one side, you have Pakistan and Saudi Arabia who've been backing the Taliban. On the other side, you have everyone else, India, Iran, Turkey, China, Russia, the Central Asian states, who are very much not just against Taliban, but have publicly now voiced their disapproval of Pakistani and Saudi support for the Taliban.
The Taliban have confounded the experts since their emergence 4 years ago. Optimists claim they're just a passing phase in the region's turbulent history. The reality is that no one knows the next direction of this erratic revolution.